The void of space was not silent. It was full of whispers. Humanity just never learned how to listen. Not until now. The starship Aurora hung against the black. It was the first of its kind. A silver spear aimed at the heart of infinity. On its hull, the name was painted in proud, white letters. A promise of a new day for everyone back on Earth. Then, the whisper became a voice. It was not sound. It was a pressure inside the mind. A signal crackled across the void. It hummed through the ship's metal bones. The message was ancient. It was a call to arms, or a welcome. The crew did not know which. They only knew they had to answer. Humanity was stepping out of its cradle. The stars were waiting. The first ship, Aurora, emerged from Earth's orbit. A mysterious signal echoed in the dark. It urged them all forward. It promised a future they had only dreamed of. The journey had begun. Captain Eva Nova stood on the bridge. Her reflection stared back from the viewport. Stars swam in her dark eyes. The signal solidified into data on her screen. It was a string of coordinates. They pointed to a place not on any star chart, an uncharted nebula, swirling with purple and gold dust. It was beautiful. It was also a perfect place for an ambush. Her first officer, Commander Jax, spoke softly. His voice was a low rumble of caution. "Captain, this could be a trap. The first contact protocol is clear." Nova nodded. She knew the rules. Isolate, observe, do not engage without confirmation. But the signal felt different. It felt like a hand reaching out in the dark. She debated whether to trust the ancient alien beacon. To follow its call was a leap of faith. To ignore it was to let humanity's greatest moment slip away. She looked at her crew. They were young, brilliant, and brave. They trusted her to make the right call. The weight of their world and worlds unknown rested on her. "Set a course, Commander," she said. Her voice did not tremble. "We're going to see who's calling." A change occurred as they drew closer. It started subtly. A low thrum that vibrated through the deck plates. It was not the engine. It was not the life support. It was something else. Something outside the ship, yet also inside them. The crew sensed a strange pulse. It felt alive. It was humming beneath their very bones. Technicians ran frantic diagnostics. Every system reported normal. Yet every person on the Aurora felt it. A deep, resonant pulse. It matched the rhythm of a slow heartbeat. It was a comforting and terrifying sensation. They were traveling into the unknown. The unknown was breathing. The nebula grew in the viewport. It was a vast cloud of creation and destruction. Stars were born and died within its colorful depths. And at its center the pulse was stronger. It was a siren's song. It pulled them deeper into the mystery. The ship felt small. The universe felt impossibly large. On the bridge, the science team worked tirelessly. They were trying to understand the signal. It was more than just a set of coordinates. It was a language woven from light and gravity. Officers attempted to translate the alien message. It was unlike anything they had ever seen. There were no words, only patterns. Dr. Aris, the head linguist, stared at his screen. His eyes were wide with a kind of manic genius. "It's not just a language," he whispered. "It's a key." He pointed to a complex, repeating fractal. "This pattern, it's a map to a higher form of energy, a way to manipulate reality." The message promised immense power. It whispered of secrets to bend space. It spoke of controlling time itself. But it was all wrapped in a riddle. The signal was a test. It offered a prize beyond imagination, if only they could solve the puzzle. The crew felt a spark of ambition. The power to protect humanity forever was within their grasp. The final piece of the puzzle clicked into place. It was not a word. It was a musical note, a perfect, clear tone that Aris synthesized. As the note played over the ship's comms, space itself began to tear. The nebula outside did not explode. It unfolded. A shimmering circle of impossible light appeared. A rift opened beside the aurora. It was a wormhole, a bridge from one point in space to another. But this was no simple tunnel. Through its aperture, the crew saw impossible sights. They watched their familiar stars rearrange. The constellations of home, Orion, the Dipper, all dissolved. They were replaced by a new map. A sky of alien suns and strange galaxies. They were no longer in their corner of the universe. The ship's navigation system screamed in confusion. It could not find a single known star. They were adrift in a new ocean. The crew stood in stunned silence. Fear mingled with breathtaking wonder. They had followed the signal. Now they were in a place beyond human charts. The journey had truly taken them somewhere new. From the shimmering rift, something emerged. It was not a ship of metal and wires. It was a vessel of light and living crystal. An ancient starcraft materialized before them. It was colossal. A star-borne cruiser, vast enough to house a small moon. It blocked out the new stars. Its sheer scale was an act of quiet intimidation. The hull of the ship was not smooth. It was a mosaic of gleaming runes. They pulsed with a soft, internal light. The symbols shifted and flowed like liquid gold. The aurora was a child's toy next to this ancient giant. The crew could only watch, their mouths agape. This was a creation of a species that treated stars like stepping stones. No weapons were visible. There were no cannon ports, no missile tubes. The ship's design suggested a purpose beyond conflict. It was a temple, or a library, or a city. Or perhaps it was all three. It hung in the void, waiting. A silent testament to a power humanity could not yet comprehend. It was beautiful, and it was terrifying. A single point of light detached from the great vessel. It glided toward the aurora. It was a transport of some kind. It stopped a respectful distance from their airlock. A request to dock chimed on their console. The time for observation was over. Diplomacy in the dark was about to begin. Captain Nova took a deep breath. She ordered her officers to meet her at the airlock. The airlock hissed open. A ramp extended from the alien craft. A figure stepped forward. It was tall and slender. Its form was wrapped in flowing, dark robes. An emissary, an alien named Rex. His face was serene, ancient, and his eyes were like molten glass. They held the light of dying stars within them. He moved with an unnerving grace. Rex stopped before Captain Nova. He did not offer a weapon or a threat. He simply bowed his head in a gesture of peace. When he spoke, the voice was not his own. It was the ship's comm system, translating his thoughts into perfect English. "We are the Watchers," the voice said. "We have waited for you." He offered an alliance. His people had observed humanity for centuries. They had seen its potential, its capacity for love, for art, for terrible destruction. They saw a species on the verge of greatness or ruin. Rex proposed a partnership. His people would share their knowledge. They would guide humanity, if the crew of the Aurora would share Earth's unique knowledge in return. The offer from Rex was simple. It was also profoundly strange. He looked at Captain Nova, his molten eyes seeming to see into her soul. "We can save your world," the translated voice said. "We can protect it from the dangers you do not yet see. in exchange for one day's curiosity. Nova was confused. "One day?" she asked. "Kay," Rex explained. His people were ancient. They had explored all the physical laws of the universe, but they had lost something along the way. Spontaneity, passion, the chaotic spark of a young, striving species. They wanted to experience humanity's art, to listen to its music, to feel its stories. They wanted to borrow humanity's spirit for a single Earth day. The crew felt both awe and deep fear. The proposal was beyond anything they had imagined. It was not a demand for resources or territory. It was a request for their culture, their very identity. It was an honor and a terrifying vulnerability. To open their minds to such a powerful race was a risk beyond measure. A single day of curiosity could change humanity forever. Captain Nova returned to the bridge. Her mind was racing. She had to make a decision. She counted the risks. The first contact protocol screamed at her to refuse. The offer was too strange. The Watchers were too powerful. Their motives were impossible to fully understand. This could be a trick. A sophisticated plan to conquer humanity without firing a single shot. Her tactical officer agreed. "Captain, we can't trust them. Their power is too great. If we give them access to our culture, our psychology, they could learn all of our weaknesses." The science officer, Dr. Aris, saw it differently. This is the single greatest opportunity in human history. To learn from a race that has mastered the stars? The risk is worth it. The decision weighed on her. If she refused, she might be dooming humanity to struggle alone. They might be destroyed by a threat they never saw coming. If she accepted, humanity might lead the galaxy. They would become partners with beings of immense wisdom. She looked at the ancient vessel on the screen. It was a gateway to a new future. Was she brave enough to open it? Captain Nova made her choice. She walked back to the airlock. "Kay." Rex was waiting patiently. "We accept your offer," she said. Her voice was firm. She extended her hand, a human gesture of agreement. The alien looked at her hand for a moment. Then he mirrored the gesture, his long, slender fingers gently touching hers. The pact was signed. With a handshake that rippled across the void, the two sides sealed an oath. A wave of cool energy flowed from his hand into hers. It was not threatening. It was a feeling of pure information. In that moment, she understood. The Watchers were truly peaceful. They were scholars, not warriors. As their hands parted, a light bloomed in the space between them. A holographic map pulsed in their hands. It showed the galaxy, but not as humans knew it. It was a living map of energy currents. It showed safe pathways between stars. It showed ancient alliances. And it showed dark, empty patches, warnings of dangers that lurked in the deep black. Humanity was no longer blind. Back on Earth, humanity was flying blind. High Command saw the readings from deep space. The aurora had vanished. A massive energy signature had appeared. Then, an unknown vessel of impossible size. They did not see a diplomatic meeting. They saw an invasion in progress. Panic spread through the control rooms. The order was given. Earth's response was swift and brutal. From hidden silos around the planet, warheads launched. A fleet of planetary defense missiles screamed toward the heavens. They were the most powerful weapons humanity had ever built. They were designed to protect the planet from any threat. Now they were aimed at humanity's first contact and its greatest hope. Aboard the Aurora, a frantic message came from Earth. It was a warning. The missiles were on their way. Captain Nova's heart sank. She tried to send a message back. She tried to tell them to stand down, But her signal was blocked, not by the Watchers, but by a new energy reading. Another fleet of ships was arriving, and they were not friendly. A new group of ships tore through reality. They were jagged and dark, bristling with weapons. They opened fire on the Watcher's vessel. Explosions painted the stars with crimson light. The Earth missiles, still streaking toward the fight, were now just another factor in a chaotic battle. This was the threat K, Rex had warned them about, a predatory species that hunted ancient races. The Watcher vessel did not return fire with equal force. Its defenses were shields of pure light. They absorbed the enemy blasts. K, Rex sent a message to the Aurora. They are the Ravagers. They consume knowledge. They will not stop. The first battle for humanity's future had begun, and humanity was accidentally fighting on the wrong side. The Aurora was caught in the middle. The Aurora was not a warship. It shook violently as stray blasts hit its shields. Alarms blared across the bridge. A crimson beam sliced through their defenses. It struck the engineering bay. The ship's power flickered. Life support began to fail. They were wounded, outgunned, and trapped. Human resilience, however, was a powerful force. In the damaged engineering bay, a young engineer named Gia worked frantically. Sparks flew around her. The ship's main power core was failing, but something else was glowing in the wreckage. A piece of Watcher technology. K, Rex had given it to them as a gift. A small crystalline power source. A sign of their pact. Gia had an idea. It was insane. It was against every regulation. She salvaged the alien core. She bypassed the Aurora's safety protocols. She began to connect it to the ship's own power grid. It crackled with unknown energy. The core hummed, resonating with her actions. It seemed to understand what she was trying to do. She was about to give the Aurora a new heart. The Watcher vessel was holding its own, but it was outnumbered. The Ravager fleet was relentless. They swarmed the ancient ship like predators. On the Aurora, Captain Nova prepared for the worst. She watched the Earth missiles get closer. They were about to strike the Watcher ship. It would be a fatal blow, a tragic misunderstanding. Then, a surge of power coursed through the Aurora. The lights on the bridge burned with a new, brilliant intensity. On the screen, their shield strength jumped to an impossible level. A new dawn broke from within their own ship. Gia had done it. The alien core was integrated. The Aurora now glowed with a soft, golden light. A hybrid of human and Watcher technology. The new shield expanded. It reached out and enveloped the Watcher vessel. Just as the Earth missiles arrived, the warheads detonated against the golden shield. The explosions were massive, but they did no harm. Earth's weapons were rendered useless. The Ravager fleet paused, confused by this new development. In that moment of hesitation, the Watcher vessel acted. A wave of energy, not a weapon, pulsed from its hull. The Ravager ships were pushed back, their systems fried. They retreated into the darkness. Unity glowed brighter than any sun. Earth Command watched in stunned silence. They had seen the Aurora protect the alien ship from their own attack. The message was clear. These were not enemies. They were allies. The order was given to stand down all weapons. A new signal reached the Aurora. It was an apology and a request for guidance. Humanity had entered a coalition of star-born races. The crew of the Aurora looked outward. Captain Nova stood on the bridge, the weight of her decision now a warm glow of pride. Beside her stood K, Rex. He had projected his consciousness across the void to her bridge. His form shimmered like a ghost made of starlight. He nodded his head in respect. Your people are full of surprises, Captain, his translated voice said. Nova smiled. She looked at the holographic star chart. It was no longer a map of threats and unknowns. It was a tapestry of possibility. The galaxy was a living, breathing thing, and humanity now had a place within it. They were no longer children staring at the night sky. They were part of a larger conversation. The journey was far from over. Dangers still lurked in the dark. The Ravagers would be back. But now, humanity was not alone. The crew looked beyond the horizon. They saw new worlds to explore. They saw new mysteries to solve. They knew their voyage had only just begun. The universe was waiting.